Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jain Rank Zone classes. I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking part as a biology mentor, and I will be taking the zoology part, that is animal science. My dear students, today we are going to start with a very interesting chapter of human physiology, that is chemical coordination integration. In this chapter, we will learn that how our body systems, the metabolic activities of our body are controlled by the chemical substances, the chemical messengers. So let us start with chemical control and coordination and integration. Introduction. The branch of biology which deals with the study of endocrinal system and its physiology is known as endocrinology. So it is the branch of biology which deals with the study of endocrine system and its physiology is known as endocrinology. Thomas Edison is known as father of endocrinology. Whereas the gland with duct is called exocrine gland. A gland which is having a duct is known as what? Exocrine gland. As these exocrine gland they have duct, then they are like, you know, invaginations of epithelial cells. Then they modify further to form a sac-like structure. Usually these exocrinal cells, they are either columnar or cuboidal cells, which are modified endocrinal cells. So they have a duct. These are glandular cells, and they have a duct. Because of this duct, they pour their secretion to the adjacent cells. Okay, so the exocrine glands, their effect is, adjacent. It is local effect. Okay, so these glands, they pour their secretion, the secretion gets filled up here and it is passed through the duct. Whereas when we talk about the endocrine glands, they produce hormones, and the hormones directly come into the blood secretion and then reaches to the target organ. The exocrine glands, they are concerned with the secretion of enzymes. Endocrine glands, they pour their secretion directly into blood. These glands, they lack ducts. They don't have ducts. They are known as what? Ductless glands. They are known as what? Ductless glands. Okay. Whereas the work of coordination by endocrine system is slow by secretion of some chemical substances. The work which is done by endocrinal secretions, that is the hormones which act as chemical messengers, their work is slow. Coordination in the body of almost all higher vertebrates is controlled by two systems. One is the neural control and the another one is the chemical control or the endocrinal control. So one is the neural control or the nervous control, which is very spontaneous, and the other one is chemical or endocrinal control, right? Now coming to next, hormones. The term hormone was given by coined by Starling, very important, Starling. Okay. The first discovered hormone is secretin. The first discovered hormone was secretin. It was discovered by Bayliss and Starling in 1902. Hormones are called primary messengers or chemical messengers. They are non-nutrient substances, as they are not a part of nutrition. They are, or they cannot be taken in the diet. They cannot be taken in diet. They can only be produced by body, produced by the body inside cells. Okay. They are secreted in traces. A very small amount. Hormone, the word hormone means excite, means to excite. Okay. Now, this is the picture which is, you know, describing the endocrinal system, all the types of glands. Chemical nature of hormone. The animal hormones may be classified into six categories. Protein, either they are proteinaceous in nature, like gonadotrophins, thyrotropic hormone, somatotropic hormones from anterior lobe of pituitary are proteinaceous in nature with high molecular weight. Gonadotropic hormone, thiotropic hormone, and somatotropic hormones from the anterior lobe of the pituitary are proteinaceous in nature with high molecular weight. Steroidal hormones. Steroidal hormones, they are fat soluble. These hormones like cortisol, aldosterone from adrenal cortex, testosterone from interstitial cells of testis, estrogen and progesterone, estrogen and progesterone from Graafian follicles of ovary and placenta are examples of steroidal hormones. The hormones contain cholesterol and bile salts. Steroidal hormones, they are fat soluble. These hormones, for example, cortisol, testosterone, aldosterone from adrenal cortex, cortisol and aldosterone from adrenal cortex, testosterone from interstitial cells of testis, estrogen and progesterone from Graafian follicles of ovary and placenta are the examples of steroidal hormones. These hormones contain cholesterol and bile salts. Some hormones are derivatives of fatty acids. They are derivatives of fatty acids like prostaglandins. Prostaglandins like prostaglandins E, prostaglandins X, they all are, you know, fatty acid derivatives. They are localized hormones and they may act as pheromones. Pheromones. Some of the hormones are amino acid derivatives. The hormones epinephrine, norepinephrine from adrenal medulla, and thyroxine from thyroid gland are derived from amino acid. The hormones epinephrine, norepinephrine from the adrenal medulla, and thyroxine from thyroid gland, they are derived from amino acids. So, gonadotrophins, thyrotropins, somatotrophins are proteinaceous in nature. The hormones like cortisol and aldosterone from adrenal cortex, testosterone from interstitial cells of testis, estrogen and progesterone from Graafian follicles of ovary, placenta, they are steroidal hormones. They contain cholesterol and bile salts. Some hormones are fatty acid derivatives like prostaglandins. Some hormones are amino acid derivatives like epinephrine, norepinephrine from the adrenal medulla, and thyroxine from thyroid gland. They are amino acid derivatives. Some of the hormones are short peptides. They are short peptides like hormones like oxytocin, vasopressin from the posterior lobe of the pituitary are the short peptides of 9 amino acids. The melanocyte stimulating hormone MSH from the intermediate lobe of the pituitary is also a short peptide hormone of 13 amino acids. So oxytocin, vasopressin, they are of 9 amino acids. They are secreted from the posterior lobe of the pituitary, and melanocyte stimulating hormone from the intermediate lobe of the pituitary is a short peptide of 13 amino acids. Long peptide hormones like Hormones like insulin from pancreas, adrenocorticotropic hormone ACTH from anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, calcitonin hormone from parathyroid gland consist of 84 amino acids. Long peptide hormones are hormones like insulin from pancreas, adrenocorticotropic hormone from anterior lobe of the pituitary, calcitonin from the parathyroid gland consist of 84 amino acids. So these are the categories, these are the chemical nature of hormones. Okay, these six categories you have to remember. Okay, now coming to next, physical and chemical specialties of hormones. Hormones, they are non-antigenic, they are non-antigenic, they are non-species specific substances. Okay, so they are not, they are non-antigenic, they don't make, antibody, or they don't create any, antigenic response. They are non-species specific. Okay, it is not like that a particular species producing a particular hormone. Hormones are soluble in water and they are easily diffusible in tissues. They can be easily diffusible in tissues. The secretion of hormone is always very small quantity. It is always secreted in traces because they are very reactive substances. Hormones are destroyed after use. Once they are used, they are destroyed. Hormones cannot be stored in the body except thyroxine. Only thyroxine hormone is stored inside the body. None other hormone can be stored inside the body. Hormones are soluble in water and blood. They are soluble in water as well as they are soluble in blood. The molecules of most of the hormones are small and their molecular weight is low. The molecules of most of the hormones are small and their molecular weight is low. Liver, kidneys, they separate them from blood and decompose them. Liver and kidneys, they separate the hormones and they decompose them. The waste products formed after decomposition of hormones are excreted with urine. It cannot be reutilized. Okay, so you have to remember that after the decomposition of hormones, okay, the end products, the waste products which are formed after the decomposition of hormones, they cannot be reutilized. Usually, hormones do not participate in metabolic activities of target cells, but they affect and control the activity level of these target cells. Okay, mean the hormones, they cannot be, they cannot be a source of metabolic activators of the target cells, but they affect and control the activity levels of the target cells due to the effect of hormones. Not only the rate of metabolic activities is affected, but also the permeability of cell membrane is changed. So the nature of the reaction is also changed. So the nature of the reaction changes. So basically, hormones, they act as primary messengers. So hormones, they act as primary messengers. Okay. Integrative systems. What are integrative systems? Neural system and endocrine system, they coordinate with each other. They perform a synchronized function and they regulate the physiological functions of the body. So the integrative systems, it includes basically two types of system. One is the neural system and the other one is the endocrine system. Okay, the nervous system provide rapid coordination, whereas endocrinal system provides slow coordination with different body parts. Secretion of endocrine glands means the ductless glands called as hormones. Hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in trace amounts. Intercellular messengers is equal to when they basically transfer the message from one cell to the other cell by binding with the membrane bound receptors or the receptors located inside the cell. So these chemical messengers or hormones, they basically bind to the receptors which are found in the membrane or the receptors present inside the cell. The moment they bind to the receptors, they activate the cell, they change the cellular permeability. Receptors, protein molecules specific for particular hormone molecules, position of receptors located on the cell surface or intracellular. Organized endocrine glands means pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, and pancreas gland. They are organized endocrine glands. Parathyroid gland and thymus, gonads, they are also organized endocrine glands. Unorganized endocrinal tissue means the diffuse tissue which releases hormones, but they are not considered as endocrinal tissues, like, or they are, present in the some other tissues like gastrointestinal tract, kidney, heart. Okay, so get gastrointestinal tract, kidney, heart, they are diffuse tissue, they are unorganized endocrine tissue, while as organized endocrine glands are pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, parathyroid gland, gonads, and thymus. Okay, receptors are present on the surface or inside the cell. Okay, hormones, they are non-nutrient, they cannot be taken in the form of diet Okay, they have to be produced inside the one's body. Hypothalamus. Now we are going to discuss about hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is present on the floor of diencephalon. It is present on the basal part, that is the ventral part of the diencephalon. Floor of diencephalon. They contain group of neurosecretory cells such as nuclei. Nuclei are the group of cytone in central nervous system. They secrete seven releasing hormones which stimulate secretion and three inhibiting hormones which inhibit the secretions. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. Okay, so the neurosecretory cells, the neurons which secrete hormones. Okay, these neurosecretory cells, they help to produce hormones, and these hormones produces or they these hormones control the synthesis and the release of hormones of pituitary. Hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system regulate the functions of anterior pituitary adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis. Okay. In this portal system, releasing and inhibiting hormones are transferred to anterior pituitary by hypophyseal portal vein and stimulate hormone synthesis and secretion of anterior pituitary. This portal system is basically concerned with the releasing and secretion of releasing and inhibiting hormones, which are transferred to the anterior lobe of the pituitary by hypophyseal portal vein, and they stimulate hormone synthesis and secretion of anterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is under the direct regulation of hypothalamus. Posterior pituitary is under the direct regulation of hypothalamus. That is why posterior pituitary is also known as neurohypophysis. Posterior pituitary. Okay. Hormones of the pituitary gland are synthesized into hypothalamic nuclei. Okay. Paraventricular nuclei, supraoptic nuclei, and secreted into posterior pituitary through axons. Hormones of posterior pituitary are synthesized in hypothalamic nuclei, especially the supraoptic nuclei and paraventricular nuclei. Okay, and they are secreted into posterior pituitary through axons. So these hormones are stored and again released into the body via blood stream. Okay, so these hormones, they are basically stored in posterior pituitary. They are not synthesized in posterior pituitary. They just release through, they just release in the bloodstream through posterior pituitary. Okay, so hypothalamus is present on the floor of the diencephalon. Okay, the basal part, the ventral part of the diencephalon. It consists of seven. It consists of neurosecretory cells, which are known as what nuclei. Nuclei, they are the group of cytons in the central nervous system. They secrete seven releasing hormones which stimulate the secretion and three inhibiting hormones which inhibit the secretion. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. Hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system regulate functions of anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is known as what? Adenohypophysis. In this portal system, releasing and inhibiting hormones are transferred to anterior pituitary by hypophyseal portal vein and stimulate hormone synthesis and secretion of anterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is under the direct regulation of hypothalamus. Posterior pituitary is also known as neurohypophysis. Hormones of posterior pituitary are synthesized into hypothalamic nuclei, paraventricular nuclei, and supraoptic nuclei, and secreted into posterior pituitary through axons. So when these hormones are stored inside posterior pituitary and they are released, okay, and they are released via bloodstream. This is the diagram which gives you a glimpse about this is the paraventricular nuclei of hypothalamus. Okay, uh, lateral hypothalamus, anterior hypothalamus. This is the preoptic era. Okay, posterior pituitary, anterior pituitary. In between, we have a median lobe. Okay, mammillary bodies, ventromedial hypothalamus, dorsal hypothalamus, dorsomedial hypothalamus, and posterior hypothalamus. So now I am going to discuss that the hypothalamus pour their secretions into hypophyseal portal. Vein. hypophyseal portal vein, and from hypophyseal portal vein the secretion comes into adenohypophysis, that is anterior pituitary. Okay, what are the different releasing hormones which are released by anterior pituitary, hypothalamus? Okay, first is GnRH, that is growth hormone releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior pituitary to release growth hormone. Then comes GHIH, growth hormone inhibiting hormone. Somatostatin inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. It inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. Then comes third, thyrotropin releasing hormone. Thyrotropin releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior pituitary to release TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, then comes GnRH. This is GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone. Now GnRH, gonadotropin, tropin releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior pituitary to release gonadotropin. Anterior pituitary to release gonadotropin. FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Then comes CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone. It stimulates the production of ACTH. adrenocorticotropico hormone. Okay, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then comes PRH, prolactin releasing hormone. It stimulates the production of prolactin. Production of prolactin from pituitary. Okay, and the seventh is PIH or dopamine. It inhibits prolactin secretion. These are the releasing and inhibitory hormones which are released. Okay, there is one important fact which I should tell you, that prolactin hormone is basically misused by dairy farmers to increase the lactation, milk yield. Okay, it is given under the name pitocin. Okay, pitocin is synthetically produced oxytocin, which is used by dairy farmers to increase the lactation. Okay, dopamine inhibits the prolactin secretion. Dopamine, it is a antagonistic. Okay, now comes, we will discuss about posterior and anterior pituitary. The hormones of posterior pituitary, they are basically released by two nuclei, paraventricular nuclei and supraoptic nuclei. Okay, paraventricular nuclei secretes oxytocin, and supraoptic nuclei, it secretes ADH, antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Diuretic hormone. Oxytocin basically concerned with the contraction of uterine muscles. During childbirth. during parturition. Okay. And vasopressin helps in the absorption of water from kidney tubules, and especially the distal convoluted tubule part DCT and collecting duct. Oxytocin is also known as milk ejecting hormone. Okay. Deficiency of, there is a term diabetes insipidus. It is caused due to the insufficient production of ADH, production of ADH. Okay. In this disease, vast amount of dilute urine are produced. Okay, called pus, or vast amount of dilute urine is produced. This is all about the secretions of posterior pituitary. So, my dear friends, in the next turn we will be discussing about the pituitary gland in detail. Till then, bye bye, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home.